Richard Edward Geoffrey Howe, Baron Howe of Aberavon, Ch.P.C. Q.C., known from 1970 to 1992 as Sir Geoffrey Howe, was a British Conservative politician. Howe was Margaret Thatcher's longest-serving cabinet minister, successively holding the posts of Chancellor of the Exchequer, Foreign Secretary, and finally Leader of the House of Commons, Deputy Prime Minister and Lord President of the Council. His resignation on 1 November 1990 is widely considered by the British press to have precipitated Thatcher's own resignation 3 weeks later. Geoffrey Howe was born in 1926 at Port Talbot, Wales, to Benjamin Edward Howe, a solicitor and coroner, and Eliza Florence Howe. He was to describe himself as a quarter Scottish, a quarter Cornish and half Welsh. He was educated at 3 independent schools, at Bridge End Preparatory School in Briterion, followed by Aberley Hall School in Worcestershire and by winning an exhibition to Winchester College in Hampshire. Howe was not sporty, joining instead the Debating Society. It was during wartime, so he was active in the Home Guard at the school, and set up a national savings group. He was also a keen photographer and film buff, a gifted classicist. Howe was offered an exhibition to Trinity Hall, Cambridge in 1945, but first decided to join the army. He did a 6-month course in maths and physics. Then he did national service as a lieutenant with the Royal Corps of Signals in East Africa, by his own account giving political lectures in Swahili about how Africans should avoid communism and remain loyal to Bwana King George, and also climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Having declined an offer to remain in the army as a captain, he matriculated at Trinity Hall in 1948, where he read law and was chairman of the Cambridge University Conservative Association, and on the committee of the Cambridge Union Society. He was called to the bar by the Middle Temple in 1952 and practiced in Wales. In August 1953, Geoffrey Howe married Elspeth, daughter of P. Morton Shand. They had a son and 2 daughters. At first the Valley's practice struggled to pay, surviving thanks to £1,200 gift from his father and a judicious marriage. He served on the Council of the Bar from 1957 to 1962, and was a council member of the Pressure Group Justice, a high-earning barrister. He was made a QC in 1965, choosing a parallel career in politics. Howe stood as the Conservative Party candidate in Aberavon at the 1955 and 1959 general elections, losing in a very safe Labour Party seat. He helped to found the Bow Group, an internal conservative think tank of young modernizers in the 1950s. He was one of its first chairmen in 1955-1956 and edited its magazine Crossbow from 1960 to 1962. In 1958, he co-authored the report A Giant's Strength published by the Inns of Court Conservative Association. The report argued that the unions had become too powerful and that their legal privileges ought to be curtailed. Ian MacLeod discouraged the authors from publicizing the report. Harold Macmillan believed that trade union votes had contributed towards the 1951 and 1955 election victories and thought that it would be inexpedient to adopt any policy involving legislation which would alienate this support. Through a series of Bow Group publications, Howe advanced free market ideas, largely inspired by the thinking of Enoch Powell, which was later to be known as Thatcherism. Howe represented Bebington in the House of Commons from 1964 to 1966 with a much reduced majority. He became a chairman of the Backbench Committee on Social Services, being quickly recognized for promotion to the front bench as Hum opposition spokesman on welfare and labour policy. He was defeated at the 1966 general election. Howe returned to the bar. He participated in the 1966 Aberfan Disaster Tribunal, representing the colliery managers. He sat as deputy chairman of Glamorgan Quarter Sessions. More politically significant was work on the Litte Committee tasked with recommending a reduction in the voting age. In 1969, he chaired the Committee of Inquiry into investigate alleged abuse at Ely Mental Hospital, Cardiff. On Howe's insistence, the inquiry's remit was expanded to cover the treatment of patients with intellectual disabilities within the National Health Service. The report had a wide impact on mental health provision in the UK, beginning a process that led to the widespread closure of large mental hospitals. But of more legislative importance were the Street Committee on Racial Discrimination and Cripps Committee on Discrimination Against Women, the reports of which helped the Labour government to change the law. He returned to the House of Commons as the MP for Reigate from 1970 to 1974, and East Surrey from 1974 to 1992. In 1970, he was appointed Solicitor General in Edward Heath's government and was knighted. He was responsible for the Industrial Relations Act that caused immediate retaliatory union strikes. He was promoted in 1972 to Minister O.